born as a solo project of Tim Anger, then on bass and vocals, Ocular Trauma became a real band after Tim invited Chris Popoli, guitar, and Jacob Gigliotti, drums, to join. After the first album Night Mara, John Nidau came on the scene for bass, and this is the current incarnation of the band that blinds us with this EP, where technical and half avant-garde death/thrash metal turns out to be the best way to define it sonically. It's not easy music to assimilate, but fans of Corner, Atheist, and Sadist may be glad to have another band to worship.
Life Without Expectations has a different flavor, which allows us to appreciate little surprises like this album by Unborn Prophecy, a band from Costa Rica that brings progressive and melodic death metal with a very modern flavor. The fact that it is their debut album makes us look at them with different eyes. We expect an embryonic work, but at the same time, we want to be impressed. We don't know if the musical identity revealed here will undergo many changes in the future, but for now the references to Decapitated and Gojira do not limit them. Of note is the fantastic vocal dynamic, a trait we hope they can maintain. Huge potential that is already felt very well throughout these 9 songs, counting the short intro Namassal. Recommended.
We always think it's valuable for a band to sing in their native language, especially when it's in Portuguese. It's a brave attitude that may lose reach, since English has a worldwide reach, but it will gain it for the simple fact of going against the current. Something that is increasingly important these days, when everything is more and more the same. Deserto not only stand out for that, but also for making great rock, with a sense of depth that is not usually found. Sure, we have good riffs, good melodies, and good choruses, but it's in the way all these elements come together to create great songs. Kill Me Slowly is one of those that stands out, but this is impressively strong set of songs.
The Galician Balmog are one of the hardest working bands coming from Spain. A band that we have already received many times here in Portugal and that have been winning fans due to their tireless work. And the obvious quality of this one, something that Covenants of Salt reveals to have in abundance. Black metal fans already know its value, but this EP composed of a single theme of almost 20 minutes will definitely win over a few more. An epic that flows very well and that has no boring moment during its duration, assuming an atmosphere that is both dark, proper to what is expected of the style, as well as diverse dynamics that alternate the various times, as well as making the theme evolve, never having a break. We are curious to see how this work can influence the next album.
You may not be able to get enough of this debut album by the US band Idolatrous. After all, melodic death metal has a 30-year history, and the Viking aspect always reminds us of Amon Amarth, something that even happens here immediately. However, we have to admit that even with skepticism, Sorrow on Midgard manages to reconcile weight and melody in the best way, and still surprised as it evokes the aforementioned Amon Amarth, but also opens a lot space for its own identity. Being the first album, we anticipate a bright future for this band.
Coastwise are a perfect example of love for music and devotion to a specific genre. A band that is struggling to earn its place in the sun and now presents its debut album. The production is raw but perfect to keep the hard rock away from more artificial and plasticized paths, but a proper production is useless without good songs, and it is mainly at this point that Coastwise conquer everything and everyone. They manage to sound classic without turning to nostalgia, with a set of songs that demonstrates all their versatility, where the final epic Lamb in the Dark turns out to be the biggest revelation. It shows that the band, despite being located in hard rock, has many more creative paths to turn to. A very promising star.
Shy Low were one of those 2021 revelations for us here at World of Metal. As such, they will now guarantee our attention always. Even a simple EP composed of 3 songs that ends up being felt as an album by the impact of the excellence of their music. With a power that brings them closer to metal, we can't help but be curious to know if these 3 songs are an appetizer of what's to come. The only problem here is that it is an appetizer. It whets the appetite but doesn't satisfy because it's short. All that's left is to give it a few more spins.
We already knew that Vai-te Foder were one of the great treasures of the Portuguese underground, but Cansado puts them on a whole new level. Not that they reveal themselves in a substantially different way than they have over 20 years of extreme music, but it is a performance at its best. Sharper than ever, it's a sweep of violence in every sense. From grind to crust, always with a sharp criticism on the tip of the tongue, Cansado, to be tired in Portuguese, presents an impressive glow over almost 20 themes and where there is not a weak moment or for rest. Grind has never been as good as what we have here. Grind in its original format, with that approach to punk and a band that is equally destructive in the studio as on stage. Are we looking at Grind's album of the year? In all likelihood, yes.